I hope so too.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I'm in trouble, you know. Okay, welcome to my session. As I said, it's minimalism to the max. I wanted to make minimalism even smaller, but then you wouldn't be able to read it anymore. So it defeats the purpose. So let's talk about me for just a short while. My name is Jang Graat. Some people know me as Forever Young, which I am. You know, I can't help anything about it. So I didn't start out as a technical communicator or developer or something. I studied physics, psychology, and philosophy. I tried a couple of other studies, but they wouldn't allow me. So my mind is always looking for new knowledge. I've been working in this field for more than 25 years. And in the course of those 25 years, I've learned to use all kinds of tools like all the Adobe stuff, Extend Script Toolkit, a programming FrameMaker because it doesn't do what I want it to do, so make it do all those nice things through scripting, Oxygen, Flare, you name it. Even very long ago, I must admit, I used Microsoft Word. Sorry, I was young, I was foolish. And in the past 5 to 10 years, I've learned everything about data, XSLT, CSS, HTML, SVG, JavaScript, PHP, SQL, everything a modern technical communicator needs to make a living, right? Well, maybe not all of you, but I have a one-person business, and you need all of that to make a very nice product. You know, you wouldn't say actually what was coming next, but I'm truly a minimalist. You know, with all this baggage in my mind, I don't believe in giving people lots and lots and lots of information so that they can figure it out. We should all be minimalists, not in what we, you know, the challenges we put to ourselves, but what we provide for people to use. So let's look at minimalism. This talk is about progressive disclosure, but progressive disclosure is an automatic result of minimalism. The minimalist principles, if you don't know them already, I'm going to go really quick through those, is first of all, reading is never the goal. If somebody wants to read, they pick up a novel. They don't pick up a boring manual, right? So if you write a manual that has more words in it than are necessary, you're wasting their time. Because by definition, every user, when they pick up a manual or they click on the online help, etc., they are in an emergency. Life as we know it will end if they don't find a solution right now. Okay? That's what it looks like. Okay? And there's a lot of people talking about we live in the information age, so you have to give people information about everything. Well, that's not true. Users don't want information, but sometimes they need information. They cannot get the information they need, so they get all they can get, so then maybe they can solve their problem. It means that we, as technical communicators, are not doing our jobs. If somebody has to search for something, or like more than 10 seconds, we have not done our jobs properly. If we're true minimalists, we give them only the information that they need. Now, all the information in minimalist technical documentation should be action-oriented, because people don't just want to know stuff and then they pick up the manual. You know, I'd really like to know how this and that works. Not that I'm ever going to need it, but you know, I would like to know. No, those are the kinds of geeks like me, you know, who study psychology, philosophy, everything because they want to know. Now, what we do is we provide information for people who need to do stuff. They need to act. So all of our stuff should be action-oriented, not theoretical, except for these conferences where everything can be theoretical. Basically, give the users only what they need. And this is obviously not exactly a minimalist picture. Somewhere in the US, I don't even know where it is. I don't think I want to go there, because I might never get out of that place, right? Also, very important, support error recovery. How is somebody gonna going to do the procedure right if they never figure out that they've done something wrong, and then they only find out like 3 steps down the road where there's no turning back anymore. You have to give people enough information so that they can confirm that, yes, I've done it right, now it's the next step. Right? That's error recovery. Error recovery is not only giving information about, oh, you know, when it went wrong, you have to do this. No, it's also allowing people to tell when they have done something wrong. Very often people do completely wrong things and then, you know, they only get into trouble 5 steps later. So support error recovery also means giving a status of this is what it should look like right now, for example. So the problem in trying to put minimalist practices into work in technical documentation really becomes, what do the users already know? If we know that, if we can solve that question, you know, we solve that puzzle, we know how to write the stuff that they need and nothing more. And then the problem, of course, becomes you have different user levels. You might have a novice, like obviously, you know, this guy doesn't know anything about the product yet, right? You know, look at his eyes, you know. Like, and this, you know, this is a true expert, right? Somebody was expecting the other way around. I get this hunch that, I don't know, I look at things differently, maybe. So you have various user levels. You have novice and expert. At some point in time, some people have noticed this problem that you have different kinds of user levels and they introduce personas, which was, you know, it was a nice try, but that was it. Basically, it was a nice try. Let's keep it at that. Because how many personas do you need to describe the world, right? There's too many. And also, you have the persona. Let's say we pick one persona. Let's pick this guy, service engineer. And you have 2 different service engineers. So these 2, which one has most experience? Can you tell? Which one has better education? Can you tell? Well, basically, and you don't even know that these 2 are in the same group, the same persona of, you know, the service engineer. So maybe this guy is totally experienced in everything except for one domain. And your product covers many domains. So at the end of the day, there's only one answer to the question, what does the user know? Yeah? There's only one answer. Only the user knows what the user already knows. Right? That's totally, for me, that is so totally obvious. So then what you have to do is to put the user in control of what they want to see. And that is called progressive disclosure. That's one of the techniques that we use for that. The main technique for that is progressive disclosure. It puts the user in control of how much information they are going to open up to look at. It's the only, for me, this is the only way that you can do truly minimalist documentation. Now, the good news is we have all learned to ask questions. We know some people have a problem with asking questions because they feel like, you know, like Japanese will never ask questions. Because if you ask a question in public, you know, you show that you're dumb, right? So you don't. So let's keep them out of the equation. Let's focus on Western people for the moment. Users know when to ask for more information. Users usually know, and this comes back to the error recovery. If your users cannot tell that they have gone down a wrong path, they will not know when to ask for information. So error recovery taps into this exact point. You have to show them, you know, like for example, this is what it should look like now. Right? If you put assembly instructions of some kind of furniture and you have no pictures, guess what? Somebody might build a totally revolutionary TV table, right? Which is totally horrible and they can't use it anymore. And yeah, of course, in step 3, you apply the glue. After step 6, they go like, uh-oh, right? Okay. So you give them information about this is where you are right now, and if you're not, then you have to go back, you have to ask for more questions, for more information. But people generally know when to ask or how to ask for more information. And we have, fortunately, in this modern time, we have interactive media. We're not in the 19th century anymore. We have interactive media all over the place. If people still want to do printed manuals, there's still time to, leave the room, go somewhere else. This is not about printed stuff. This is about interactive stuff. But then people are using hyperlinks. They've been using hyperlinks for a long time, cross-references, etc. The problem with a hyperlink is that if you click there, you change the context. You jump into this wormhole, and you never know where you're going to end up. It's like a Doctor Who movie, right? So then there might be some other links, there might be some other information that you are missing. And even worse are the systems where you click a link and you go somewhere else, and they fiddle with the back button. With your browser history, you can never get back from there, and then your search for information becomes a wild goose chase. You will never, you will not find your information anymore because you're totally lost. Okay. Instead of that, so instead of these links that everybody knows how to use, everybody can put these links everywhere, you click on it, you go somewhere else. Instead of that, we keep the same context, but we disclose information. It's like opening a drawer. You don't move into another room by touching that drawer, right? You just open a drawer, you get more information. You disclose stuff, literally, disclosable content. This is what you have to think about. If you want to have a model of progressively disclosable content, think about this. You have a cabinet and there's some drawers in there, and you allow people to, you give them a handle to open a drawer with more information and close it again. But of course there's multiple drawers nested in each other, so this might also be a useful image. Yeah, open it up, there's more drawers in there. Open it up, don't exaggerate it, The Russians have gone way out of control on this. People still, trying to open this little one, taking tweezers and microscope tweezers, At a certain point, it breaks down. It's not useful anymore. So, let's look at some of those techniques. Progressive disclosure, in my mind, this is user assistance, user experience, user guidance. It's all in one. You can cover all of that if you do good progressive disclosure. So let's look at a definition of what progressive disclosure is according to Wikipedia. And Wikipedia, of course, knows best, right? Because that's all of us together, I guess. So, progressive disclosure is an interaction design technique. Here you go. It's not about technical documentation, it's interaction design. Does that sound sexy? Do you feel, hey, this is a really cool job, right? I'm an interaction designer. I'm not a tech writer. So that, immediately your pay goes up, right? Okay. Or it should, if you master this technique. It's often used in human-computer interaction. Here we go. It's not a book. It's not a stuffy old manual anymore. It's human-computer interaction to help maintain the focus of a user's attention by reducing clutter, confusion, and cognitive workload. See? You keep a lot of words, huh?
28.
How many?
28.
That's maximalist description of minimalist practice, right? Hey. Exactly. Sometimes, in the training process, you do a lot of maximalist stuff, and then you make the minimalist help for real users. So, the focus of a user's attention. All of the things that I've been talking about are in this one definition. That's not by coincidence, of course. Well, I didn't read the definition before I started making those slides, but it matches. It makes sense. So, improves usability by presenting only the minimum data required for the task at hand. And the key is in the minimum data required, and that depends on who the user is, and they will be able to determine, okay, now I know enough, I can do the work, right? Put the user in control of how much they want to see. So let's look at a couple of basic techniques. And of course, we're using web technology. You know, if I say interactive media, you know, you might want to do voice control or whatever. You know, I don't care. It's all basically the same technique that's derived from web technique. Or that's the, you know, that's the first starting point of all of those. If you have EPUBs, etc., you have even PDFs, you can use all of these techniques nowadays because they have become interactive. So, first thing that you can use is tooltips. Somebody hovers over a paragraph or something else. You give a tooltip. Instead of a link jumping to another page, you might want to include a tooltip that if they want to see more info, it opens right there without taking them to another page, without taking them out of their context, right? It opens, you move away, it closes. It's one possible technique that you can use. Another technique that is being used quite often is, well, not quite often, but this is one of the techniques that have been in place since a long time in some of those online help creation tools, is expanding text. So you have widget database. People go like, widget database? What's a widget database? You click on it, and then there's an extra sentence. I highlighted it in red here. I think that would also be a good idea to highlight the stuff in real life, you know, not just for this presentation. Because you change, basically you do change a little bit of the context here. You change what people are looking at. The paragraph all of a sudden gets longer. I'm not a big fan of expanding text. You know, in this case, I would rather use a tooltip. Because a tooltip leaves the rest of it alone. It just gives me a definition, I move away, and it's gone. Except on handheld devices with the touch, etc. How do you hover? You know, some technical problems there. So expanding text is an option, but not necessarily always the best option. You also have drop-down content, which is much better. So this opens up something behind the paragraph that you make clickable. And then there's layered content. So you can, this is more sophisticated than a tooltip, because a tooltip, it's just one level. You hover over it and it shows, and you move away and it's gone. A layered content, you open up a layer, and in that layer might be more information, there might be buttons, there might be all kinds of stuff, there might be even more layers. So this is really where you can make this Matrushka thing with all the puppets, you know, nested in each other. And as I said, you know, don't go completely crazy on this. But there are some situations where you can actually use layered content in a very sophisticated way. So these are 4 basic techniques. We go back, you have tooltips, so basic web techniques that are supported by any browser in the world. I did do a course, a RoboHelp course somewhere at the, well, it was the Dutch tax office. The Internal Revenue service they call it. And you know that, you know, those kinds of institutions are like dinosaurs, right? They were not allowed to use anything outside of the standard HTML. And drop-down text and expanding text is using dynamic HTML. And the HTML standard they supported is basically defined in like 1843. So they were not allowed to use expanding or drop-down text. They could use tooltips. So, okay, if you work for that kind of company, maybe it's time to change to a more modern institution, or, you know, change their minds. All the browsers, all the versions support expanding text, drop-down text, and layers. And if they don't, hey, you know, you're not writing for those kinds of users, right? I'm not, you know, I wouldn't want to bring down the level of sophistication to the level where anybody who, you know, anybody could use this device, even though they will never get one. So these are the minimum minimum things, minimum techniques that are supported by all the browsers, and you will need them. Let's look at some guidelines. So I mentioned in the title the do's and don'ts in progressive disclosure. Well, we could fill a whole day about this, but let's just do a couple of those, and then I'm going to look at the implementation of progressive disclosure, because that's, of course, everybody wants to start doing this. So how do I do it? How do I make it work? Guidelines, styling and wording create expectations, right? I'm really put down by any website that tells me, for more information, click here. The words click here made sense when clicking was totally new, like 200 years ago, right? People didn't know that they actually could click somewhere and they follow a link, right? Or they open up some kind of layer. So the words click here, I have this automatic spelling correction, you know, click here, it's just, you know, thrown out. I don't want to see click here. Come on, everybody knows. If you make this layer, if you say more information and it shows up as a link, then your pointer becomes a finger, and people will understand that they can click there for more information. So it's a smaller sentence and it's more direct. Better even is more information, and you have a number of items, because usually it's for more information, you go to more information, then you're at a page where they have different categories of more information, and you have to click twice. So to remove that, you make a little list with multiple links. And of course, what would even be better is to have this kind of setup where you have a little triangle showing, hey, this is something you can open up. It's expanding text, or a drop-down text. So you click on this and it opens up right in the spot. It doesn't go to another page. But styling and wording create expectations. If you style it like a hyperlink, people will get the impression that, you know, there's a hyperlink there. If you put this little triangle here, then what I would normally do is I would take away the styling, because it's not a hyperlink. A triangle shows, then, and I only have to show that once to people. If this triangle shows, you can open it up, there's more information, but it's expanding text, it's not a hyperlink. Also, if you put, I'm going to show a little example, if there's still time at the end, I'm going to show a little example of how progressive disclosure was built into a couple of nice items on the Max user interface. I'm going to come back to this point, this expectation point, because you can really use it to maneuver people into the right piece of information. As we said before, as it's also in the definition, the focus of the user's attention should always be on the task that they want to perform. So make sure that you don't take people somewhere else if you don't have to. Yeah? If they try to do some kind of work and they stumble on a problem and they have to solve that problem first, it's okay to bring them somewhere else to solve the problem. But if it's not about solving a problem, it's just more information, then it's preferable to have some kind of layer pop up, you close the layer and they're still there. The focus of the user attention should always be where you want it to be. Yeah? Which also means that you have to put elements that are clickable, like buttons for more information and then buttons that close the layer with more information, that they should always be in the same place. I've seen user interfaces and help systems where you click more information, there's a button, and then you get this window, and then OK is here, or let's say it's not just information, but it's a wizard. You know, you have to do settings, etc. The OK button is first, the cancel button is second. And then 2 windows later, in the same wizard, you have the cancel button and the OK button. Or the OK button might be up there, and the cancel button might be here. Right? And they jump all over the place. So in general, you know, that's really bad user interface design. You keep your buttons in the same place. Preferably, the button that you open something with will change names and will change function to close the same information. It's just the same as in this this little arrow. If I open that drop-down text and then I put an arrow on the bottom to close it again, That's wrong. This arrow can simply be changed in an arrow that points down. You click the same thing, it points up. People figure it out after doing this once, they figure it out and they can do it everywhere. But it stays in the same location. So consistency in styling, location of elements, naming of elements. If it's more info, it's got to be always more info. Except if you want to have, okay, now I'm still going to talk about this thing that I hope to be showing at the end, but they have this section where only experts should go there. So what have they done to make sure that only experts go into this techie area? They simply renamed the button. Instead of more info, it says advanced. So it tells people, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, this is a danger zone. You don't have to put any security things, any password or anything on it. You don't have to make the button hard to find. You just name it advanced and it would tell people, you know, watch out. So they click on that and they get into this area that is styled in a totally different way. It's a total techie style. There's no help at all. It's just a big table of all kinds of data and they go like, help! And there's one button, cancel. Right? Okay, that's how you use knowledge about, you know, all kinds of psychological knowledge. The word that you put on a button tells people, gives some kind of expectation about what is going to happen, right? So, use that. And of course, always supply a way back. As I just said, you know, you click advanced and then there's no button to go back. There's only a button save. Okay. Now you're going to drive up the number of calls to your service desk. You know, people go, whoops, I did something wrong and I can't go back. I'll just click save because it means go back, right? Or cancel. So always supply a way back. Even if you have procedures, you know, they go through a certain step and they go like, uh-oh, I took the wrong turn. So, okay, go back one step and then you can still correct your problem. Okay, things to avoid. I was looking for this don't like icon, but they don't have one. Did you ever find out? There's only a like symbol, so I had to tweak it into unlike. I don't like this. Okay, this is what I don't like. So what's wrong with this one? Can anybody guess? Any suggestions? Yeah, you know, I'm trying to tell people, you know, okay, people from the 18th century, you know, if you click here, you go to next. Guess what? If you click here, you cancel. Okay, thank you. I wouldn't have known. Okay, then the recommended that you close all blah 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 blah. This will install. Yes, you know, I just clicked on install, and now it says this will install it. Yes, thanks. That's what I wanted to do. So there's too many words. It's just stating the obvious. It's just totally maximalist. The Deutsche Bahn, the famous Deutsche Bahn example. I love this website. You know, you know, I'm a total geek, and it allows me just in one screen to set all the options I need. You know, it gives all the information I need on the same screen. All kinds of panels that open up, and more panels inside it, etc. And there's all kinds of buttons and links and everything. Exactly. Yeah, I have this Bahn card as well. I travel a lot on the Deutsche Bahn. Hmm? Yeah, you have to tell it twice. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So even with all those options, they forgot a couple. So they should make it more complicated. But somebody who is new to Deutsche Bahn, you know, if you want to travel to Munich, to Data Europe, or to TC World in Stuttgart, of course, you take a ferry to Netherlands, and then, you know, you get into the train to Germany, and then you have to buy a ticket in Germany. And then, you know, all kinds of information. All the information is there. You never really leave this screen. So it might be too many options. For me, that's fine. For most ordinary people, I would have made a couple more stages in this whole process. Okay, another point to avoid. I was getting so annoyed with the new stuff that Microsoft came up with, I think in 2003 or something. They had these dynamic menus, and all of a sudden my menus were different on this machine and on that machine and on that machine. And they were different today and tomorrow because I had used one function and said, oh, you might want to use that function again and again and again and again. So they changed my menus without me telling them to change the menus. Well, you have to have a really good reason to do this. And I mean a really convincing reason. Then if you think you have that reason, call me, convince me, and if I say, yeah, this is a good reason, you can do it, okay? Yeah, no, I opened up Microsoft Word to fry an egg. Sorry. It's none of the above. Yeah, so, you know, okay, well, you get the point. So, I have 10 minutes left. Oh, gosh. So, we're going to look at how to implement it, because now I know that everybody is eager to go do this, right? And I can tell you how to do this in RoboHelp, in Madcap Flare, in JavaScript, in all kinds of stuff, etc. But there's no time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you an idea that you might then pursue, and then you might contact me to know more about it, or we talk about this during the break. But if you want to implement progressive disclosure, then until a short while ago, the only thing you could do is do it manually. Now I'm showing this in RoboHelp. It goes basically the same way in Madcap Flare or in other tools. So what you do is you identify the line, so you write your minimalist procedure. This is the information everybody needs, right? Replacing a broken headlight is these 4 steps. Now one of those steps, open the hood. Well, guess what? If I tell my princess open the hood, she goes like, Okay, so let's give her more information. You select that line and you say, create drop-down hotspot and text, and then you put some more text in there. And then the text, this is marked as a trigger, and what it will trigger in real life, you know, when it's compiled, etc., it will open a box that says the sub-steps. So that's your progressive disclosure. And you can nest this, so you can take one line, then make an explanation, but then the spring, she says, spring? What's that? Well, I can even make it nested, etc. So there you have the Matrushka puppets, you know, one inside the other, inside the other, inside the other. So, when you create this, you will have this end result, and if you click on that line, you will get this. Click on that line, you get that, and you can go back, etc. So it's beautiful, wonderful. Why doesn't everybody do it? Deadlines. You don't have time, because you have to go through all your documentation and put all those drop-down texts and everywhere in those text boxes, and it's a lot of work. And then if you want to change it, it's even more work, because you have to figure out where the hell did I put this stuff, right? So what I have been thinking about, what I've implemented, is automating the process. Now, if you're not using data, well, you know, I can't help it. I can't help you anyhow. So, you know, I don't know. You know, there's some things you can't do. Well, even if you don't use data, but you use some kind of structured information editor. So you have some kind of XML-based editor. You have structure in your content. You have semantic labels. If you have structure in your content, of course, you don't only need the template, but you also need to stick to it rigidly, right? Now you know that you have structure, and then you can automate the process by using something that's called XSLT, but the real name for that is a magician's hat. Who has ever used XSLT in this room? A little bit? A little bit of magic? It is magic. It's truly magic. You have the basis of, I'm going to go really quick and we're going to run 5 minutes over. If everybody's happy with that, you know, and otherwise you leave the room, you go have your break. XSLT is based on XPath, and XPath is a semantic search. You can find anything. It's like fishing, deep sea fishing. You don't want to know what else is in there. You just want to know. You just want to catch that fish, right? That's what you do with XPath. I'm not going to say anything more about it. XSLT is based on XPath, so you find something, you find the fish, and then you change it, you fry it, or you whatever, right? XSLT is an extreme makeover. You keep what you want to keep, you change what you want to change. That's what XSLT is. Huh? And it's true magic. So in DITA you have a task, and a task has one or more steps, and inside those steps you might have optional info or sub-steps or step result. This is the error recovery thing. This is more information for those who don't get it, and you might have sub-steps, right? Now I know this structure, so what I can do in XSLT, this is what a DITA task looks like in the editor. Well, we're going to quickly go past this. If I just make this, if I publish this to HTML, this is what it looks like. It looks like crap. You know, this is not what I want to have, right? But instead of doing the progressive disclosure thing on this manually, I have XSL, and XSL knows about the structure, and if I can tell it a couple of rules, it says, whenever you find a step info element, wrap it in some kind of drop-down text and make a trigger out of it. Or put a trigger on top of it. So, we can use CSS, etc. You use all the techniques that are already used in manual progressive disclosure, and what you will get is this. So this comes at 0 cost. Well, after you pay me for my plugin, of course. But the plugin is free. But then you have to move to DITA. Right? So there's always some kind of trade-off, of course. Once you have that and you switch it on, any task will be transformed into this type of task. You will have a little plus saying, the little plus symbol says there are sub-steps. Click plus, you see the sub-steps. Click plus again, they're closed. If you have an I, little I, it's more information. Might be a picture, might be more textual information, etc. And if there's a sad smiley, it says, you know, if you get into problems, this is where you click, it solves your problems. Right? So if I click a plus, sub-steps, if I click other symbols, you have this is step result, and I might have styled it in a way so that you recognize, okay, this is the information, if it doesn't work, then I go there, etc. So you can expand on this method. This is a short description. I made a mouse over event out of that, and then the context is hidden, and it's hidden behind this one eye up on the top. Now the good thing about this is that, well, it took some time to create the XSLT, but that's only one time. It's a one-time investment. And then you push the button, all of your topics are going to use progressive disclosure. And then I can meet my deadline. Okay, so we're exactly on time because this was my last slide. If people want to still see a couple more examples, I have a couple more examples that you can use. This maybe 5 minutes. I show one more example of how you could also think about progressive disclosure. Because this morning I was thinking, you know, you should also be able to do this with illustrations. And what I've done is, this morning, just before coming into this room, where is it going? Yeah, okay. Okay, now, this is where you're coming from for, right? This is the only thing you want to see, right? We talked about it. He's going to do a talk about SVG. Go to his talk. This is SVG. Does anybody know SVG? Nobody knows SVG? Has anybody used it? How did you create the SVG?
We do some with Linkscape, and the rest of it is programmatically generated in C#.
Cool. On the right track. I created this in Illustrator, then pulled it into Dreamweaver, and then I have layered content. Guess what? If I click the button next, then I disclose the next layer, and I hide the first layer, and I can go on, and so I can make interactive procedures like this. I could also have added text. You know, like I can have the text going like here and then have buttons like, show me what it looks like now. Yeah, like the error recovery thing. I don't have to put all the images, all the stages in that procedure and make it very long. I can make the image in one place and then tweak the image. You know, disclose layers, change stuff. I could even animate those things going in by using SVG, which again comes down to, you know, if you use images, if you can, you know, use SVG because it's XML standard. And you can programmatically then make all kinds of these things happen. So that's that example. And as I mentioned all the way at the beginning, there's an example of how you use, how they've used psychology. This is what I was talking about. This is my network preferences on a Mac. And here it says it has a button Advanced. Now guess what? If I click on Advanced, I'll be in kind of user interface that is not really for mere mortals. There's all kinds of settings, etc. And you know, this to a novice looks scary, and it should, right? If you make this look very nice, you know, they click by accident, they click on Advanced, they go like, oh, I can do this, and they get into trouble. So they don't do this. And there's always a cancel button here, so you go back. But there's also there's a little bit of information here. And if you do assist me, then it says, okay, you might want to have diagnostics, or you might have an assistant to set up a new network. And the assistant is really programmed in a very, very nice way. They really understand progressive disclosure, and you know, total newbies should also be able to do this. So it gives information about, the wizard is, of course, for novice users. You always have this button, more info. The more info brings down a layer. And it has an OK button, which simply closes the layer. You're not taken into any other context. You get the next step, continue. You have one question that you have to answer. If you don't understand all those words here, you know, if you're really dumb, you don't understand this, you always have more info. It gives you more information. Click on OK, you go back. So, you know, even here you have all kinds of images, making it even more understandable for people who really don't know computers, right? This is the newest, I haven't even seen this before. The point is that you always have this, you have continue, always have a go back. You have one question to answer on each of those steps in the wizard, and each of those steps has a more info layer that will open up and that you can simply close. And if you are in the beginning, if you close this, on this screen you have this Advanced button. After the Advanced button, hey, there's no wizard that's going to help you here, because this, and that's why it's called Advanced. The styling is different, the wording is different, the information is different. This is where only the experts will go, right? And if you're not an expert and you go here by chance, you know, you go like, oh, let's see what this does. You're like, whoop, get out of here, because you're going to get in trouble, right? If you don't know what you're doing. So this is using all kinds of insights from psychology to simply make the wording different, to guide people in the right direction, but still keep them in control. That's the last thing I wanted to show you, so if there's any questions, we will have to answer them in the break time, and otherwise I'm still here for the rest of the day. So.
Right, before we just thank Jan for his talk, can I just remind you that you've got a link to the survey that you should have had by email. Can you please fill that in? And just to also let you know, anyone who's staying at the hotel, the theoretical cab time is noon, which is the other thing that I thought I ought to mention so that people didn't forget. And thank you very much for your talk, Jan. It's very, very useful, and I will certainly be implementing some of it, so thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.